All right, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name is Jody Cedric, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. I tell you, it has been a minute since we've been together. I'm sorry for not having a podcast for the past couple weeks. I actually was pretty down and out with COVID pneumonia. And so you may hear me hack a little bit because I'm still feeling the effects of it a little bit. Got a really heavy chest, but man, it's really good to be back with you guys. And, I've had some amazing discussions this past week, both on LinkedIn and also in person with a dad. And it's really got me thinking about 5 principles that will help you be a great dad. Because I think a lot of times we as dads, we didn't have a good role model, or we had a good role model and we're still trying to figure things out. And so I'm like, what are the guiding principles that I think would be helpful for you guys as you look at your life, as you assess where you are? What are the things that you can do to be a better dad starting today? Because I think a lot of times we look at the past, we look at, the chaos, the trauma, the hurt with our own dad, and we're not sure how to move past that. And I'm not going to, diminish that road because I know it's extremely difficult to overcome the pain and the anguish of having an abusive father, an absent father, whatever. So I just want to assure you men that wherever you are, you can, set yourself on a course to become the dad that you always aspired to be. So, with that said, like I said, you may hear a little bit of coughing today, so I apologize in advance. I literally was down for like 24 days, and the COVID pneumonia, I mean, it kicked me in my butt. My wife was pretty worried about me, but I'm doing much better and alive and kicking. And of course, I'm wearing my Involved Dad shirt today, so I'm excited. So, the number one principle, guys, you got to remember that your kid needs you, not a coach, not, a band teacher, not their teacher. Ultimately, they need you. Yes, those other men, those other role models as Boy Scout leaders or whatever, they can fulfill a phenomenal job and they can fill in some of the gaps, but nobody replaces you. Your kid needs you. So you need to be present. You need to be engaged. You need to be involved. You need to be interacting with your kids because ultimately they are yearning for your attention. They're yearning for you to be engaged in their life. They're yearning for you to sit down and just visit with them. They're yearning for you to take an interest in what they love. So remember, you are exactly what your kid needs. So set aside that negative self-talk, set aside those self-doubts, and recognize you are the dad. Yes, maybe you've done some things in the past that you have to work through, but that doesn't mean that they still don't need you. Number 2, you need to develop, and I say that you need to develop empathy and perspective. I mean, how many times do we, as we're parenting, as we're working with our kids, and our kids do something, and we just expect them to automatically know how to do it? We expect them to do it to the standard that we've already learned. We've forgotten a lot of times what it's like to be 6, 9, 11, 15, and these new experiences are completely new to them. And we go, oh, that's easy. No, it's not easy because it's the first time they faced it. So recognize that you need to develop some empathy for how they're feeling. Develop some empathy for how they're struggling through those individual challenges. Develop some empathy and perspective that, you know what? They're just learning. They're just kids. And I think a lot of times we put such a high expectation on our kids that we leave them feeling less. We leave them feeling diminished, like they don't measure up, instead of going, you know what, that's okay that you didn't know that. Let me show you what you didn't understand. Or let's do this together so that we can explore and learn together about this new process. Because I remember doing, those rat trap cars for science. Man, I had no idea what to do. But I told my kids, I'm like, look, I've never done it. Let's figure it out together. And so develop a perspective that a kid is just learning, that they're just growing, and it's new to them, and they're looking to you to them guide. They're looking to you to give them guidance instead of condescending. Is that a word? Yeah. So that they're looking for you to be built up, not tore down. So remember, in your language, in the way that you encourage your kids as you teach them and discipline, that you're building up rather than tearing down. I always ask my kids in their language to each other, are you building up or are you tearing down? That same lesson applies to us dads. In the way that we speak to our children, in the tone of our voice, in the demeanor of our body language, are we building up or are we tearing down? Number 3, explain the why. And this one really, really hit me this week because my daughter was home. She was in the kitchen. Her and her friends were her friend. They were talking about relationships and pornography and some other things. And I happened to walk in. And as I walked in, my daughter just out of the blue said, "Hey, Dad, do you think pornography is cheating?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." She's like, "Really?" She goes, "Well, what if Mom was, looking at porn to get ideas to please you?" I go, "No, that's not why you look at porn. I mean, we can have that journey of exploration together rather than go and watch somebody else." She goes, "But why do you think it's cheating?" And I said, "Here." And it would have been very easy. And I think a lot of times we as dads, we as men just go, well, it's because I said so, right? Instead of, I had this beautiful opportunity where my daughter was engaging with me. She was legitimately asking the question. I said, this is why I think it's cheating. Because when you're watching pornography, you are imagining that you're doing those acts with that person in the video. You're not imagining that you're doing it with your wife. You're imagining that you're doing it with somebody else. And you're watching that out of a selfish desire to fulfill something within yourself, instead of when you're actually making love with the lady of your dreams, where you're interacting and building and trying to make her feel good and make each other feel good and create unity and love. That's completely different than when you're watching pornography and you're just imagining and fantasizing about somebody else. So yeah, I believe it's cheating. And I think it's really important that, especially as your kids get older, where they're really assessing and internalizing and they're questioning the things that you've taught. They're evaluating it and weighing it against what their peers are telling them. And they need to have a safe space where they can come to you and ask questions. And instead of saying, well, that's the way it is, or that's the way, that's what I said, that's what Mom said, or, that's what God taught us. Let's explore the principle underneath the question. Because as they understand the principle underneath the question, it will drive them to make a healthy decision. It will drive them to make a decision that will help them have healthy relationships. And this is across any question that they might have. So remember, explain the why, not just because I say so. Because when they understand the why, they will have the freedom and the understanding to act in a way that will be healthy and productive for them and enable them to grow. Number 4, and I want this kind of goes back to number 1 about you guys kind of self-doubting that you are the dad that your kid needs. Number 4, be the dad that you would want. If you wanted a fun dad, a playful dad, be that dad. It's okay to be silly. It's okay to make funny voices. It's okay, to put on hand puppets. It's okay if you wanted to be the dad that was a sports dad, even though maybe you don't understand all of the games, that you get involved as the assistant coach. You go to the games and watch and become their biggest fan. What is it that would really make you happy as a child? What would you like to see in your dad and become that dad? In fact, I had a great conversation earlier in the summer. And so one guy told me, he goes, I had a horrible dad. And he goes, all I did was do exactly the opposite of what my dad did because I knew it was better than the experience that I had had, and it gave me a starting point. So be the dad that you would want. Number 5, and it all comes down to this. You got to show those babies, no matter how old they are, whether they're little toddlers all the way up to 28 like my oldest, you got to show them love. You got to show them that you're interested in them, that you want to be with them, that you are their biggest fan, that you're like excited for their journey, that you really, really do love them, that you want to be with them. I love being with my kids, and I want them to feel that. Do I put my arms around that? Absolutely. Do I kiss my kids? Not as much, but yeah, sometimes, right? But show your kids love. Let them know that dad loves them. And then related to that, make sure that they see you love on their mama. And for you guys that maybe have baby mamas and your relationship isn't so good, show your baby mamas love and respect and deference. Yeah, things didn't work out with you, but that doesn't mean that you can't still treat her like a queen, that you can't treat her with respect, because your kids will emulate the way that you treat their mamas. So make sure that not only do you show your kids love, but you show their mamas love and respect and honor. Because I'm telling you, watching my dad with my mom was a true blessing. I mean, it was a true blessing. I remember very distinctly, I was just graduated from high school. I was 18, and I may have shared this story. So those of you that have heard it, great, you'll appreciate it. But I was sitting at the breakfast table having breakfast. And my dad had been working outside in the cold in Arkansas all morning, working on a car. And he had come in and he was soaking in the tub adjacent to our dining room and our kitchen. And I'm sitting there having dinner. And my mom collapses in the kitchen. I mean, she just dropped like a rag doll, just went completely limp and just dropped. And I ran into the bathroom. I said, Dad, something's wrong with mom. He jumped out of that bathtub, butt naked, ran into the kitchen, swooped my mom up, carried her into the master bedroom where he laid her on the bed and he started assessing what was going on. Never once thinking that he's sitting there butt naked taking care of my mom. And I went and I got a towel. And when I first brought it, he's so worried about mom, he didn't even take it. But eventually he took it and he covered himself. That moment was so beautiful to see the tenderness, the love, the concern, the dedication, the worry, the love for my mom was powerful, and it was humbling, and it made me go, I want to love a woman like that. I want to love my wife so deeply that it doesn't matter what situation I'm in, she is the focus of my life. So, men, look at yourself. You can become the man, the father, and the husband that you want to be. But it starts from today. Forget the past. It starts from today. What are you going to do today to be present for your kids, to develop empathy and perspective, to learn to explain the why, not just because I say so, to be the dad that you always dreamed of and yearned for, and 5, to show your babies and their mama that you love them and that they are the center of your life. Guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to my podcast every week. It is an amazing journey for me in both doing the podcast, but also in preparation. It gives me an opportunity to look at myself, to self-reflect, to have amazing conversations with you other dads that have been on my podcast. I thank you so much for sharing your stories. This podcast is designed and driven to help you become a better father. And I hope that it is touching your life. It is motivating. It is igniting the fire within you to be a better father, because we all can be better. We can all be better than what we are yet from today forward. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. And you know what? It's awesome. I did have, before I leave, I just have to give myself a kudos, right? And an invitation to you guys. I pre-released my first book. I never ever thought I would ever write a book. And events happened over the last 2.5 years that I'm telling you, God inspired me to share some stories with you that I hope will help you learn to dance with the currents of life when you feel like you're drowning. Because sometimes life's experiences are so heavy, they're so dark, and we're doing everything we can to fight against those experiences rather than learning to dance and move with them in the direction that God has taken us to become better husbands, better fathers, become better families. So I'd love to invite you to go check out my book. You can check it out at jodycedric.com. And if you do a pre-order, I will sign it, send it out. And once again, I want to thank you guys so much for your time listening to me. I'm super excited. This Monday, I'm also starting a new cohort with Sean Hart with Involved Dad. We have some men that are coming out of the prison system and who are trying to reconnect with their kids. And it's a great work to be able to work with those men, to see their challenges, to see them work through their challenges, and to reconnect with their families. And it's a journey, but it's all about becoming an involved dad, trying to put your kids first. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I know I'm kind of rambling towards the end, but I want to thank you guys so much. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we will check you same time, same bad channel, because I'm not sick anymore, next week. See ya.